How do you compare golf winning scores fairly across eras? Imagine trying to compare the scores of golfers from different times without considering how the game has changed. It's like comparing apples to oranges. To do this fairly, we need to look beyond just the raw numbers. Over the years, golf courses have gotten longer and more challenging, and equipment has improved a lot. These changes make scores from the past look different from today's scores, even if players were just as skilled. One way to compare fairly is to focus on how well a player performed relative to everyone else in the same tournament or era. Instead of just looking at the total strokes, we can use a method called strokes gained. This measures how many strokes a player gains or loses compared to the average player in that event. If a player gains many strokes on the field, they played exceptionally well, regardless of the raw score. This method helps us see who truly dominated, no matter the time period. Another useful tool is the Z-score, which standardizes scores by showing how far a winning score was from the average score in that year. A more negative Z-score means the player was more dominant compared to others at that time. For example, Jack Nicklaus's 1965 Masters win had a lower Z-score than Tiger Woods' 1997 record, even though Woods' score was lower. This shows Nicklaus's performance was more exceptional relative to his peers. We also need to consider how courses have changed. Golf courses have become longer and sometimes tougher, and equipment has advanced. Metal woods, better golf balls, and new club designs have made it easier to hit longer and straighter shots. For instance, winning scores at the Masters used to average around 7 strokes under par before 1990, but since then, they've been closer to 11 strokes under par. This doesn't mean players are necessarily better, just that conditions have shifted. Looking at scoring trends and the strength of the field is also important. If most players are scoring well under par, a winning score of 10 under might seem less impressive. But if the field is scoring near par, that same score becomes more significant. So, comparing winning scores should include the overall scoring environment of each era. When analyzing tournament data, it helps to adjust raw scores by comparing them to the field's average scores and the scoring spread for that year. Using strokes gained and Z-scores allows us to see how dominant a player was, not just what their raw score was. We should also keep in mind how course modifications and equipment improvements have influenced scores over time. In the end, comparing golf winning scores across eras fairly means focusing on how players performed relative to their competition and the conditions they faced. This approach gives us a clearer picture of true skill and dominance, rather than just raw numbers that can be skewed by changes in the game.